Hey everybody, welcome back to another full self-driving beta video. My name is John. I live in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. I just got version 11.4.2. We're going to check it out here and see how well it performs. Double tap down and the car is going to take off. I have it dialed in to take us all the way to Woodfield Mall, which is fairly close to my neighborhood here. And we're going to see how well it does. We're going to take it through an area that I hope has a lot of people. Usually on a Friday night, especially before a Memorial Day weekend, you have quite a bit of traffic and a lot of activity going on, so it should be a little bit of a dynamic, entertaining, interesting drive. Coming up here, we are going to be turning right. It's getting into the right lane really well here. The right turn signal goes on. We're coming up to this signal. It says stopping for traffic light. We're going to see how well it comes out here. It is our turn to go. It's a protected right turn here with these cars turning left. And we are good to go, giving it a chance here. Sometimes it will say creeping. There we go, creeping forward for visibility. Great, and off it goes. Beautiful. No issues there. For a long time it would slow down right up here, and that has finally been fixed ever since 11.4.1 came out. It has been fixed right here. It used to slow down, and perfect. It does not do that anymore. That makes me so happy. I don't have to baby it every single time. And this is a 35-mile-per-hour road. A lot of people are going 45 miles. Look at that, it moved away from that truck. That was beautiful. That was really, really natural. It felt awesome. I felt very safe and protected there. But I love the fact that it doesn't slow down there. So everybody speeds on this road, but when you slow down at that spot previously, when it would slow down, it would make it really uncomfortable because people would be charging forward, so I always would be looking behind me. And of course I had to intervene there every single time. So every time I would take Beta out for a drive, I would have at least one intervention. So we're gonna see today if there are 0 interventions. That would be the best scenario. Look at this, right at this intersection. I love the visualizations with all the cars. It is about 7 p.m. I just got Beta. This update came to my car about an hour ago, so I'm a little bit late getting out to test it, but I wanted to film the car coming out of my garage using Summon. I struggled a bit because it kept stopping and it wouldn't initiate the HomeLink command, so that was a little bit disappointing for me. Usually it does just fine, but for some reason it would turn it on when it would go in reverse, which was really backwards. Usually I park, I go forward to get into my garage, and then when I put it in reverse, it will open up the garage. So I don't know if it had some sort of memory left with that, but I could not get it to open up the garage. So we've got about 2.7 miles here before we're turning right into the mall parking lot. And this road is pretty busy, usually. It looks fairly open right now. It's slowing down here, 35, 34. Ooh, I'm gonna have to step on it. I'm not sure why it's doing that. It says apply slight turning force to the steering wheel. There is an intervention. Unfortunately, I did have to step on the accelerator. I don't know why it was slowing down there. There was no indication that it was going to be stopping for anything, and there was no stop sign. So sometimes that happens on this road, and it always used to happen back there. Now it's happening up here. And that was the Dunkin' Donuts that I took it to a couple videos back, and it struggled getting into that parking lot, and that was the same spot where it would slow down as well, obviously to make the turn. Here it is right here, okay, and right turn signal went on. It turned off. Now there's nobody here that, okay, so it looks like the car, ooh, I don't know, might have some sort of memory from going into that parking lot. Very strange there. I was not expecting that. Okay, and coming up here, you can see the chevron on the screen. That means it's slowing down. So when you see that symbol, that means it's basically lowering the speed to come to a stop. You'll see that sometimes on the highway too. If you're in a passing lane, like on the right, and you're flying past cars that are to the left of you, it will recognize that and slow down just in case someone tries to cut out in front of you. Because it's usually not that appropriate to be passing people on the right side, especially going at a pretty fast speed. But that was introduced with version 11, that chevron symbol. So it's really nice to see that still. I don't see any visualization changes with version 11.4.2 here yet. And I was mentioning in the previous video, which just got posted earlier today, that with version 11.4.1, when I was down in the city last Thursday, there were a lot of people crossing the street with dogs, and none of those dogs would show up in the visualizations. So I was a little bit surprised by that because they used to show up every single time. I'm curious if other beta testers are having that same experience where dogs aren't being displayed anymore. I did see some gray matter, which is part of the occupancy network that they added with version 10.69. something. I can't remember exactly which version that was introduced, but they did show up a little bit as gray matter. And someone had mentioned in a comment that it's possible that they did that to save memory or basically processing power, and highly possible. I'm not really sure. We'll see if we come across any dogs near the mall. I'm doubtful, but we'll see. So we're coming up here. You can see we're going 45 miles per hour. I do have it set to a 13% speed offset, and we're just gradually going past these cars. Now we've got a lot of vehicles around. We've got a car right in back of us, and cars to the left, cars to the right. So we are in the appropriate lane, I would say, at this point. I'm not unhappy with the lane selection at this time. Now, a lot of times in the past, what would happen is it would get over too late to turn into the mall parking lot. And I'm willing to bet that that's going to be the same situation for this version as well. In the release notes, I did not notice any significant changes. In fact, I think they were all the same as version 11.4.1, so that means that it was just very minor tweaks that were made. But the nice thing about this software in the car is that it's still extremely responsive. So my car is a 2019 long-range rear-wheel drive Model 3, and I have hardware 3, so they did upgrade my computer in order to handle full self-driving beta. And you'll see that if I take my finger on the screen and I swipe it across, it's extremely responsive, and I love that feature. So a lot of other cars you'll notice with the screens, if you tried switching menus or you tap on especially if they're touch enabled, there is quite a bit of delay. Now, I think newer screens might have gotten a little bit better, but in my experience, Tesla's screens are just very snappy and very responsive. All right, so we're gonna come up past this street here, and then this is not, I wouldn't necessarily be getting over now, but I'd be thinking about getting over. So let's see what happens here. There we go, see the lane turned blue, changing lanes to follow route. Nice. It shows a very good gap there. I liked that a lot. And it's beautiful because it was early enough, because we actually have to go past this intersection before we turn right. So that was really, really well done. In the past, it would get over way too late and make me very uncomfortable. And it would be very hard because then the traffic would build up, and a lot of people, they don't want to let you in. So they'll close that gap and make it very difficult. And beta, of course, is not going to be that assertive to cut someone off. They really wait. Beta waits for that opportunity where someone lets you come in. So now this lady, this is going to be awkward. I don't know what the car's going to do. Sorry. Okay, so that's one of those situations where like I wanted to wave to like acknowledge that she was there, but I just let the car do what it was doing. So the car did the right thing. I would say it didn't hesitate. Sometimes when the car starts to come in like that, beta would hesitate, and then it would create these mixed signals where they're like, are you going to let me in, or are you not going to let me in? But as soon as it started going, it kept going. That was beautiful. I like when it's decisive and it continues forward with its action, because that in the past used to be extremely challenging to handle, because especially when you have that person there looking directly at you and you're looking at them. And I know some beta testers like Chris, Dirty Tesla, they just choose not to wave or do anything. They just don't even, I don't think Chris even looks at the person. I have a hard time doing that, but you know, it's just manner. It's like kind of courtesy where you acknowledge that that person is there. Now, of course, a lot of people are driving, and you know, I shouldn't read into it too much, because a lot of people will drive and they're just super distracted or kind of zoned out and not really paying that much attention, and they're just staring straight ahead. So, you know, I could always take that approach too, where I just pretend like I don't notice them. But we are waiting now for this light to turn green, and there it goes. Great. and slowing down. Ooh, why did it slow down there? I did not intervene, but it was a little bit strange there. It slowed down, and it was hard to see on film how it was slowing down there, but definitely sitting in the driver's seat, that was extremely noticeable and made me jump a little bit. It's like, oh no, what's gonna happen here? Thankfully it got out of that pretty quickly. Here we are, Woodfield Mall, turning right. Nicely done there, beautiful. So we're gonna see here, I think it's gonna turn right up here. Pothole, okay, just barely missed it, got lucky there on that one. Okay, we are turning left here on Perimeter Drive. So it is a stop sign. We usually, sometimes, well, not usually, but sometimes when you come into these areas, the entrance does not have a stop. All right, and if I remember correctly, it kind of just stops right here. You have 100 feet, navigate on autopilot ending. So I'm gonna take over and move it forward, and I'm gonna go to this spot that I love testing where there's a lot of people. It's where they have Legoland and a bunch of other things. In fact, let me type that in right now. Legoland. There it is. Okay. And we'll double tap down to let Beta take over, slowing down for that person there. And the turn signal went on temporarily there, not sure why. Changing lanes to follow route. Going in the left lane, not completely necessary. Well, I guess that's appropriate. It's turning left up here. All right, I was wondering why it was slowing down. There's a stop sign here. All right. And stopping again. So it kind of stops twice there. Now the bus is blocking our path, or our view, I should say. Okay, and going forward. So it's interesting because it's actually getting onto this Perimeter Drive again to get there. And normally I would just keep going around this little circle that goes around the mall. Let's see what happens here. Okay, left turn signal goes on. And waiting for this, let's see if it goes. It had a chance to go. It just didn't go quickly enough. So that's fine that it waited there. All right. Okay, now let's see. This is going to be really fascinating. There is a police vehicle here. Now, as a human, you would know immediately that you need to go around this car. Let's see what happens. So it's not figuring it out. Ooh, their wheel came off. That's not good at all. Let's see. I doubt it's going to figure this out. So hopefully the police doesn't notice, the cop doesn't say, hey, what's going on with this guy? Now there's someone coming up behind me, and they're gonna wonder what's going on. So the car is now realizing it just kind of went forward a little bit, and yes, the car behind me has no clue what's going on. So they're confused because I'm sitting here waiting. The right turn signal goes back on. This is really crazy. So I am going to have to take over here. Okay, now we've got two cars up behind me. Let's see. Come on, Beta. Can you figure it out? Come on. This is your chance. Come on, you got this. Come on, you got this. Right turn signal goes on again. Come on, don't make this super awkward. All right. You know what? I'm going to have to take over. All right, so that's a disengagement, but kind of a necessary one. I mean, I don't know how a robotaxi would handle that. Can you just imagine if you were sitting in the back seat and it was a robotaxi and you saw that it was very obvious that you couldn't go around, or not that you couldn't go around, but that the car was stuck there? It would just be really irritating. Okay, so we need to go straight here. Okay, we're in the right lane. Sometimes Beta surprises me. It's like, why is it going here? Because I would go in the right to turn left, but this is fine as well. So the path Beta takes sometimes surprises me because it's not the path that I would take. Okay, great. And turning on the right turn signal, looking for a little bit of force on the steering wheel. And beautiful. You see that little circle right up there, that half circle? Don't slow down. That is what makes this really interesting. Ooh, that sun is really bright. That half circle is usually really, really crowded. There's a lot of people, a lot of activity. So hopefully we'll capture some of that here. Ooh, don't know. It just ran that stop sign. Did you see that? That was not good. Oh no. Well, I mean, it's not like on a main road. Okay, there's people coming out there, kind of ignored them. But it just totally ran that stop sign. Now that wasn't on a main road, you know, we are in a private parking lot, but still, it shouldn't have done that. Alright, so this is what I love. Watch this. Okay, so we've got some people coming up here, and thankfully it didn't wait for them, because that was what I would have done. Alright, so coming around here, this is what's interesting. So you got a lot of people around and cars parked. Things are changing a lot in this area. They have birthday parties, they have special events here. There's like a bar, there's an ice cream place that you can get coffee. So this is usually a pretty hopping area. So it almost felt like the car is trying to go around this slower moving vehicle in front of us. Let's see what happens here. Navigate on autopilot ending. Alright, so let's put in our next destination here. Add stop. Not bad. Not bad at all. I'm going to dial in my home. And we're going to have it continue on. Okay, just waiting. Okay, great. I didn't have to do anything. There is somebody right behind us. Stopping for stop sign. Creeping forward for visibility. All right. And there they're turning left. So far we have one intervention and one disengagement. That disengagement was for a edge case, I would say. I gave it enough time to try to figure it out, but unfortunately it wasn't able to do it. Now we have a lot of traffic right here. This is going to be really interesting. Let's see how it handles this. This makes me anxious, because this is a difficult one. Let's see how it merges here. So it's stopping. It better not just go straight. Okay, wait for it, Beta. Don't do this. No. Okay, so I'm looking at the path, and it's really trying to cut into those cars. It's being really assertive here. Let's see what happens. Wow, it's pulling out. Gotta hand it to it. Whoa, it's almost changed lanes in the other lane. There's a gap there. It could have taken it. It didn't need to take it, but it almost was going to go into that other lane. Interesting. Wow, that was really, really assertive. A lot more assertive than I've seen in the past. Sometimes I wonder, though, in those situations, was that on purpose or was that by accident? Because that easily could have gone the other way, where it pushed itself forward and then I would have had to disengage. A lot of times merging is an issue, especially on the highways. Now, I did do quite a bit of testing on the highway previously, and the behavior is very similar to the previous version, which was 11.3.6, and there really weren't any major differences. So what I mean by that is it still camps out in the passing lane. It also merges incorrectly. A lot of times the lanes will just push it in rather than it getting over quickly enough and turning on the turn signal. And I actually did not confirm the behavior for exits, but when version 11 first came out, it would miss exits, which was new behavior. And I have not seen that on the 11.4 branch, but again, I haven't tested it thoroughly enough to notice that, I don't think. And that's the thing with these beta versions, is unless you're doing a lot of driving, you're not going to notice things for a while. And even if you are doing a lot of driving, you have to go on 2-3 trips to really notice how it's behaving or how it's acting in certain situations. So I would really challenge you, or not challenge you, I would really caution you to be careful jumping to conclusions. I made those mistakes a lot when I would get new versions of beta, and this was, going back a year. I've had full self-driving beta now for 19 months. But when I first got it in October 2021, I would jump to conclusions. I'd be like, oh, that's so much better. And then suddenly the next day it screwed up again. So the thing with beta, and a lot of people don't realize this, is that when it goes through a certain area, it's processing things as if it's the first time it's ever seen it. So it does not have a memory of certain scenarios, and that's most likely a very good thing, because those scenarios are going to be different every single time you go through those areas, with the exception of the map data and maybe the placement of the traffic lights and the stop signs and stuff like that. But things are dynamic when you're driving, because you have all of these humans driving around you. There's a lot of unpredictable behavior, so the car has to react to that. So it can't move in the same manner in the same areas every single time. So it makes sense. All right, coming up here, we are going to be stopping at this light and then proceeding forward. We've got the sun facing us, so it's a little bit bright. Hopefully it shows up okay on the camera. And this is Roselle Road. Previously, coming the other way through this intersection, it would slow down. I have never noticed it slowing down going this way through this intersection. Let's see if it does that here. Got quite a bit of traffic here tonight. And hopefully my battery lasts for this whole trip. I'm skeptical a little bit. My other battery, sometimes the batteries, they drain really quickly, and then other times they last a long time. It's hit or miss on the GoPro batteries. Thankfully I have enough of them to swap out and recharge all the time, but it always surprises me. I don't know how or why it does that. All right, coming up here, we just have to go straight a little ways, but we're gonna have to get in the left lane coming up, because we're gonna turn left onto Gulf Road. So we're on Higgins Road right now, for those that know this area. And these roads, Higgins and Gulf, are parallel for most of the time, and then they end up crossing right up here. Okay, so we're about a half mile. Let's see if it starts getting over. Any second now, it's going to indicate that it needs to start changing lanes. So you'll see before the turn signal goes on, you'll see the line, the lane, excuse me. You'll see the lane turn blue, and that means that it's targeting that lane. Oh, okay, it turned the turn signal on at the same time that the lane turned blue that time. Other times the lane will turn blue, indicating that it will be doing it, and then turn on the turn signal. Okay, and getting over. All right, now let's see what happens here. So when version 11 first came out, it would go through this intersection, and because it's an awkward intersection, it's not like a cross, it's more, because these roads are parallel, they cross at kind of like an X shape, right? So what happens is the light, as you're turning, the angle shows the red light. That's when it would slow down, and it would see that light. Again, this is an unusual intersection. Okay, here we go. Putting a little bit of force on the steering wheel. Usually when the car starts to move, that's when you want to put some force on the steering wheel, because if you don't, it will ask you to do that anyway. Okay, there it hesitated just ever so slightly. Ooh, now it's hesitating a lot. Okay, I had to step on the accelerator. That was not the best. Okay, so that's 2 interventions and 1 disengagement. Let me report that. That was disappointing. I wish it wouldn't have done that. I let it decelerate enough to give it a chance to figure out that it needs to keep going, but it just kept slowing down, and the car behind me was coming up. And you definitely don't want to interrupt the flow when there's a lot of cars behind you, right? So that was a needed intervention. Okay, here's the screen glitching, so that's still an issue with 11.4.2. A little bit of a lapse with memory there. All right, here we are in the left turn lane. Perfect. great. And slowing down, beautiful. So overall impressions with 11.4.2, I would say that it did a fairly decent job. I didn't notice any significant improvements. Of course, these are minor bug fixes from 11.4.1, but for people that are coming from the 11.3.6, they will notice, I think, a little bit more smoother operation. That's been the biggest noticeable difference with 11.4 for me. So I hope that you guys can enjoy that extra smoothness. Other than that, I think everything operates the same. From my experience, it operates the same on the highway, on the city streets. I haven't noticed any significant improvements. Merges are still awkward. I've had several situations where it just makes mistakes there. Roundabouts, maybe a little bit better. The release notes call out a couple things, but none of them I've noticed in a significant way. So bear that in mind as you're testing this. Don't expect huge step improvements, but we'll see here as we move forward with additional progress if it's more noticeable. But as of now, it's very subtle. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like my content, please hit the like button, share my videos, subscribe. It means a lot for me, and it will help my channel grow. Oh, look at this. So the light is blinking at the top. I don't know if you can see that, but that means an emergency vehicle is coming. Thankfully, the green arrow was on, so it led us through the intersection. But with that, I'll close out this video. Thanks a lot again, everybody, for watching. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.